Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to week 4 of our This Is Us small group curriculum. I want to take just a second and give a shout out to any first-time people who are joining a group or participating in one of our small groups. We just want you to know that we are excited about you to be a part of one of our community groups. And just know that no matter how long you've been coming, we want you to feel a part of this family. And we've been in this series called This Is Us, where we've been talking about our core values and our mission and our vision as a church. We want you to know that maybe some of you have been coming to our church for a short amount of time. Some of you students that are going through this group, maybe you come to our Pulse house parties, or maybe you come to small groups through the student groups through Pulse, but maybe you're still not connected to the church on Sunday mornings. And what we want to encourage you to do is know that we want every single person to be a part of the Generation Church family that doesn't have a church home. And so as we jump into this study this week, we're talking about the subject, work it out, pour it out. And the first thing in your fill in the blanks that you want to write in is this: God is more interested in the workman than in the work. God is more interested in the workman than in the work. And if you remember from week 1, we talked about in Ephesians 2:10 that we are God's workmanship. In other words, God is more interested in who you are than what you do. This isn't a message about salvation by works, but what this message is about is that if you allow God to do something in your life, you're going to have no choice than to let that work out of you. And I think the reason why some people think that God can't use them, it's not that God can't use you or is not using you or not willing to use you, is that you haven't surrendered who you are to Jesus. Because when you truly allow God to do something in you, then you can't help but to have God do something through you. And that's what this lesson's really about, is having this natural desire to do something for God and letting Him work in and through you when you allow God to do something in your life. And so the second thing you want to fill in the blank is religion is all about what you do, but relationship is all about who you are. Religion is all about what you do. Relationship is all about who you are. And I think a lot of people, when they come to follow Jesus, they think that everything is about the work. Everything is about what I can do. And that's where we get frustrated, because if we don't do enough what we feel is good deeds, or we're not good enough, we're not behaving enough, then we get frustrated. And that's what religion does. It frustrates you. But when you have a relationship, you understand that the focus is not about all the things that I can do, but it's focusing on who you're becoming. And I want you to know that when you focus on who you're becoming, then what you do will automatically change. You know, I think if anybody's ever started to try different Christian disciplines in their life, maybe you're saying, hey, I want to start reading the Bible more. Well, if that's your overall goal, you're going to be frustrated. If your goal is just to be able to read the Bible more. But if your goal is to say, I want God to speak into my life every day, that's my goal, is to be somebody who hears from God. If that's your goal, to become somebody who hears from God, then reading the Bible will become a part of your discipline in your life, because it's about who you're wanting to become, not what you're wanting to do. And so remember that. The work will take care of itself if you allow God to mold the workman. So don't forget that. The second main point that I want you to write down is this: the church is strengthened when we give equal sacrifice. The church is strengthened when we give equal sacrifice. And we've been talking about this over the last several weeks as a church. You know, larger churches can make a larger impact because there's more people sacrificing. And this has nothing to do with equal amounts, but we all have different capacity of finances, right? Or different capacity of time and resources. But if every person who called themselves the owner of our church gave the same type of commitment to give, serve, and invite, and do community and worship, the impact is enormous. And so I think some people walk into a larger church and they go, because it's large, there's nothing for me to do, or there's no reason for me to participate because there's so many people here. When in reality, you're actually hurting the impact the church can make when you are disconnected or you're not giving equal sacrifice. I mean, imagine being a part of a sports team. And I'm thinking about certain sports that maybe have more people involved on the court or on the field. It takes 11 people to have a football team that's operating on the football team. And think about if only 5 of those people were giving forth any kind of effort, how successful would that football team be? Not very successful. And so I want you to think about that in terms of the local church. When only a few or a percentage of people are actually giving forth the effort, it hurts the team. And so you got to know that our church is strengthened when we allow God to work in us, when we work it out and when we pour it out. And so generosity of a few can make a difference. And so just know, like, a lot of the things that you see our church accomplish is done really with anywhere between 22 and 30% of our church actively involved in areas of giving and serving and community. And so think about if we could see that percentage increase, what would happen? It would be enormous. So imagine the multiplication of life change, because think about all the life change we've seen in our church in the last 6.5 years. And that's with not the entire team giving forth their effort. What kind of life change could we see multiply in our community if everybody said, I'm going to play this down with my team. I'm going to play this snap with my team. I'm going to give my all on this snap with my team. So it's having an attitude of this right here. You're not going to outpour me. My life is going to be a drink offering to God and for others. And we talked about that in the sermon. If you missed this week's sermon, you can go back and watch me explain the text. But I want you to know, like, if we all have the attitude of, you're not going to outpour me, you're not going to out-invest me, you're not going to outgive me, you're not going to outserve me. If every believer had that attitude, what could happen in our church? It would be incredible. And so the last thing you want to write down is, work out your purpose and pour out his power. Work out your purpose, pour out his power. So when you start allowing God to do something in your life, and you start surrendering to his will and to obeying what he wants for your life, all of a sudden his power begins pouring out of you in all that you say and do. So at this time, you're going to take some time to answer the discussion questions with your group. I hope to see you guys back next week, and don't forget to come this Sunday and check out the next sermon in our This Is Us series.